Welcome everyone to our December 4th, 2024, 5:30 business meeting for the Douglas County Commissioners. There are paper copies of the agenda by the door if anyone would like them, and the full packet is available on our website. So for this evening, we did not have a work session, so we will have a consent agenda followed by general public comment and then our regular agenda items. So for our consent agenda, of course, we always ask first commissioners and then the public if there are items you'd like to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion. And then during our general public comment time, we will have certain rules for orderly and efficient meeting. That is that each speaker would be limited to 3 minutes of speaking time. Individuals may not donate unused speaking time to other speakers, and all comments must address the topics within the jurisdiction of the County Commission. We also maintain the decorum of our meeting by prohibiting public comments that are threatening, aggressively hostile, or belligerent, fighting words, slander, or speech that invades the privacy of individuals, unreasonably loud, disruptive, or repetitive, or that interrupt or substantially interfere with the board's ability to conduct county business. We do reserve the right to mute or remove speakers who violate these public comment rules. At that time, we'd ask for your full name and address and to address comments to the commission. Please know that comments that are received by the Commission during our meetings do not necessarily represent the views of Douglas County government, but that we value the input. And while we don't respond to general public comment on the spot, if you leave contact information with county staff, we'll try and get specific questions answered. After general public comment, we move to our regular agenda. And for that, in each action item, we'll hear from staff or an applicant, followed by questions from the Commission, and then open that item for a public comment relevant to that item. Once public comments close, we bring the item back to the Commission for further discussion and a vote. Lastly, a recording of this meeting will be available on the county's YouTube page and website. So we do have Commissioner Reed is with us on Zoom, and we will move to our consent agenda. First, Commissioners, are there items you would like to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion?
No.
We're looking at Commissioner Reed.
No.
I would say we'll go ahead and pull item 1.5. I think we'll have a public comment for that. So I turn to the public. Are there any items on the consent agenda you would like to pull for further discussion? Seeing none in the room, Sarah, do we have? There's a agenda by the door. Is there anyone online who would like to pull an agenda item? Okay, with that, Commissioners, I would entertain a motion for the balance.
Motion to approve consent agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. So we have pulled item 1.5. I don't actually have any questions for that, but I did receive a fair amount of public comment and figured that there would also be people who would like to speak. So Commissioners, if you don't have any other questions, we'll just move to public comment. All right. All right, so this is now a public agenda item. Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this?
Karen, you should be ashamed of yourself. A man asks what the consent agenda item is, and you direct him to the agenda laying over there instead of just saying it. Are you that embarrassed that you're about to give this raise to that woman? Are you that embarrassed by it that you can't even own it when a man asks about it? That's pathetic, really. $41,000, is that what it is, Sarah? You getting $41,000? Kind of makes you happy, doesn't it? That's more than most people in this community make in a year. One raise, done. Is that her payoff? That's one of the questions I have. Is that her chunk? Her share of the winnings that you guys have been overtaxing us for and saving in the bank? Is that your share to make her keep quiet about your mismanagement and the bullshit that's been going on? You've had citizens out here calling you guys out for your budget mismanagement, and you take credit for lowering taxes. I noticed you had to adjust that to that you actually lowered the mill rate, not taxes. And then you're embarrassed to actually own this. I mean, the people see you, Karen. The people see you. And Patrick, you're still a pussy for doing this. I can't believe that you guys are going to give her $41,000 at the same time as we have all these other budgetary issues going on. and that you guys are throwing money into a bank to do things that the voters said no to. What's wrong with this? And I bet you did have a fair amount of public comment, because I heard a fair amount of public comment myself when this article came out today. It was pretty quick too. As soon as the article hit, man, the town blew up. You're making a bad move. You know, the town blew up, county, I'm assuming, blew up. There's a few more people here tonight than there usually is. But this is a bad move. And you guys are going to own it next election. And I don't know what you're going to own. Maybe a boat, a plane, or something like that. You're going to buy a high rise in New York with all your winnings here? Do you realize that the amount of her salary now as a public servant is among the highest in our community? That's executive level stuff. I have a little privy information about some executive level salaries. And she's approaching some areas that she does not qualify for as a public servant.
Is there anyone else who'd like to give general or give public comment on this item?
Hi, my name is Sue Herring. And when I saw the newspaper with a little article here today about the commission to consider a $41,000 raise for a county administrator, I broke out laughing because I knew probably you'll do it. Right here before Christmas, when those of us earning incomes in the real world, the private sector, are facing property taxes due December 20th, while being eaten alive by inflation, you have decided to further fatten yourselves at our expense. We are providing the funds you're squandering. Apparently that's a little concern, but bear in mind that this action will define all of you. You are our microcosm of the corruption that is ruining cities across this nation. You are our failed administrative state. You are ruining this county. I've often come here and spoken of your legacy, what you will have to live with after you leave office. At some point, you will have to face the results of your actions on a very personal level. It's a poor climate for your old age. Tonight, the tide could turn. You could end this nonsense, or Sarah could refuse the outrageous increase in her pay. People are watching. Maybe it's time to realize how horrible you three commissioners and our county administrator appear to those of us who fund your coffers. This is such a spectacularly obtuse action in the face of what people are living through today. All I could do, like I said at the first, was laugh. Thanks.
My name is Joe Herring. Like most of the citizens of this city, I'm thoroughly disgusted at the way this place is run. There's no doubt in my mind there is more qualified people out here to be a county administrator that would gladly take that job for a third of that salary. But once you start drinking from the public trough, there's an old saying, the pigs get fat and the hogs get slaughtered. We've entered the slaughterhouse. We are spending money like we're Kardashians, eating caviar at the top while the rest of us are getting by on ramen noodles. If we keep going like we are, we're going to have two classes of people in this town. We're going to have retired brain surgeons and homeless, nothing in between, because we can't afford to live here. And some of us don't want to live here the way this place is run. It's time to own up to all the corruption and the mismanagement of our budget. I've lived here 22 years, and this isn't scientific, but I would say that our infrastructure is in worse shape today than it's been any time since I've been here. It's not because we haven't had high taxes, because we have. And while I'm speaking of that, I know we had commissioner that was patting ourselves on the back for holding our mill levy steady, while my personal real estate taxes went up 25%, 25.4% in the last 2 years, realizing that not all that's a county, but we're living with it. 12% increase. It's time to grow up.
There's no way that government employees should be paid that much. With this raise, you're gonna have what, Sarah, over $250,000 annual salary? I think it's like $288,000. $41,000 raise this year is more than salaries of a lot of people around here. And somebody said spectacularly obtuse. You guys sit here in your budget meetings and then try to say that you can relate how times are hard for people, but then you turn around and you give a raise to someone here more than what people make in a year from their job. But Sarah, you don't deserve that raise. You are un-American. You have shut off my microphone speaking here double-digit times. You have orchestrated 2 arrests, unlawful arrests of me here as well, that are part of a lawsuit, that I think that $41,000 could go towards your attorney in this, because in that lawsuit,
Can you address to us?
the count, no, everyone else, Michael was just addressing Sarah there as well. So the county doesn't just have their attorney here that's already getting paid. No, they contract outside of it and they hire attorneys. So they're racking up attorney's fees for Sarah's unlawful actions there that she's about to get a nice reward for. So not only are you paying that $41,000 for her raise there, but you're also going to be paying the county's attorney's fees as well. And so does part of your administrative duties then, Sarah, state that you are
You can address to
orchestrating
us.
of the sheriff's department, that you can order these deputies around in here? Because that's precisely what you did on May 1st when you had me unlawfully arrested. It's all on video. The entire conspiracy of you in here trying to get me out of here to the point where the deputies did unlawfully arrest me. Part of the lawsuit. And I see you holding up that 1 minute piece of paper there, signifying that there's 1 minute left. Isn't it weird that you guys can't afford a timer, but you can give her $41,000 to do what? Sit there and hold the paper for us each week there, Sarah? So, Sarah, I'd like for you to explain to the community why you deserve that raise, how it is that you're doing your job, what they say, very well, deserving of that raise, staying within the bounds of the Constitution, because you're not. And that's inexplicable on your part to reward her for that.
Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner Willie, for pulling this. I think it was honest move to pull this from the consent agenda. I think it was very dishonest to have it on there in the first place, putting it on before the Thanksgiving break, and other things that have been hidden from us. The Douglas County Administrator currently is receiving annual pay increases. It's not like she's not receiving annual pay increases. Her salary, or the salary of the county administrator, has increased $100,000 in the last 8 years. And it's already 73% above the average salary of county administrators in the state of Kansas. Hope you received that additional email from me this afternoon. The McGrath study is flawed as it uses a high salary of $333,378, which is a Johnson County outlier. It should be thrown out. And that salary below is being disputed currently in Johnson County. It shouldn't even be accepted here. The McGrath Company study stated her salary was derived by the assumption that her job performance rating would be very positive. I think it's pretty clear that from the comments over the past few years that is absolutely not the case. And I would like to remind you that even after changing the budget hearings earlier this year to business hours, making it very much inconvenient for the regular public to attend, but very much convenient for the heads of the budget departments, that she was unsuccessful in getting the department heads to attend, to even defend their own budgets. And the contract of salary and benefits demonstrates blatant disrespect to all county employees. $255,091 is obscenely high for this county. And it's also disrespectful to the taxpayers of Douglas County. Please do not accept this. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to give public comment on this? Okay, come on up.
Brent Bovee, Douglas County. Burying this in the consent agenda is cowardly. It's yet another example of lack of transparency. It's unmerited and reckless to do this. One more clear example of foxes and coyotes guarding the Douglas County hen house. And why not wait until the two commissioners join? Let them have a say in this. Do not approve this.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to give public comment on this? Is there anyone online? Okay, then closing public comment, bring it back to the commission. Do you have any thoughts?
Just addressing maybe a couple of the public comments. While I understand that some may feel that Sarah's job performance is unacceptable because of the decisions that the county commission has made, I don't agree with that. Sarah works for the county commission. We are her bosses. And you know, our job is to evaluate her performance, and the decisions we make are the decisions we make based on the information we request from Sarah. So I disagree that her performance is not justified. This is also, someone said it was inexplicable, and I don't think it's inexplicable. I think maybe there's some frustration with the number, but we did do a McGrath study. We have had many meetings about that study and the methodology behind it. I know some people may disagree with it, and we had some of our own questions about the methodology, but I'm comfortable with the methodology. The salary increase is not all based on performance. Some of it is based on meeting market factors for county administration. I have been part of similar market studies for administration, and sometimes those jumps are surprising due to other economic factors. While I understand the frustration with it, I personally am comfortable and think we've done our job in reviewing the market information and Sarah's job performance with regard to her compensation.
Commissioner Reed, I echo your sentiments and those responses to some of the comments, and I disagree also with those assertions. So I do understand a reaction to the number, and it was a complex study that we did organization-wide and applied that logic to the head position in that organization, which is a unique one. As Commissioner Kelly pointed out, we are her bosses, and went through the evaluation of her position just as all department heads throughout the organization did for each individual employee, and applied the same logic. The last public comment I just want to respond to specifically is I heard it stated that This is a salary close to or same as some executive level salaries. And to me, that's an affirmation that it's an appropriate number because Sarah is an executive in her position. It is an executive level position, one of the largest organizations and employers in the community. And in fact, in some counties throughout both the state and the country, county executive is an interchangeable title with county administrator. So those are my responses to public comment, and happy to move forward. But I'll turn it over to Chair Willie in case you've got anything further to say.
No, I did receive some other comment outside, and nothing new that we didn't hear also in the public comment here, but just having that conversation with people about the salary range that is appropriate for this job within the larger region. And I think we were surprised at where that salary range was landing. But also we were surprised that our county administrator was so far off of where that range should be, at the very tail bottom of that. And our community is not an easy one to work for. So I would just echo what commissioners have said, but it's a hard number for those of us that will not make that money or see that, but recognizing that it is a job that is pretty unique and difficult, and does fall in that executive role. Commissioners, any?
Make a motion to approve the employment contract for the county administrator.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. That brings us to general public comment. Is there anyone who'd like to make general public comment?
Clarify a couple things here real quick. And just so before you try to shut me down, don't even start, because this is not going to be talking about the consent agenda item. I want to clarify a couple terms for you guys. When we refer to executive level salaries, what we're referring to is a for-profit company, somebody who actually generates something, and they deserve to take a profit. This is not a profitable exercise that you people are in, although you've made it one with the bank accounts that you have. And I'm so sick of hearing you interrupt people. Why can't you just sit there for 3 fucking minutes and shut your damn mouth? We're going to be back again next week now. Since you can't just shut the fuck up and listen for 3 minutes. What is so hard about that, Karen? What is so hard about just listening to the public for 3 minutes?
You're getting a little loud there. Can
I'm
you
sorry
tone it
that you
down?
don't like my tone. I'm sorry that you don't like that I'm loud. It's still First Amendment protected. Now shut the fuck up and listen for 3 minutes. What is hard about that? What is hard about that? Please tell me, Karen. Patrick can do it. This crazy woman over here can do it, but you can't. Why? You going to use your rules since I'm too loud? Mute me, I dare you. Mute me because I'm loud. Mute me because I'm repetitive. I dare you. It's all First Amendment protected. Your lawyer over there needs to help you understand that your rules and your little disclaimer at the beginning of shit doesn't mean a damn thing. We have rights. The public has rights. Take about $10 of her salary and buy a fucking timer.
Who else would like to give general public comment?
Ben, Karen, our founding fathers would be disappointed in you. Yelling, whether you like it or not, is constitutionally protected. How do you not know this shit? How do you not know that? Me sitting here talking during my 3 minutes to a public figure, it's constitutionally protected. And then you didn't bother to stop Michael before me when he was talking directly to Sarah, but then when I do, you stop me. I mean, how do you not see that as not being equal there, Karen? So anyways, what makes it inexplicable there, Patrick, is also what I had said there, is that it's spectacularly obtuse. You guys sit there and say that you're Sarah's bosses. Well, we're your bosses, and we're all saying it's too fucking much. That's what's inexplicable about it, Patrick. Talk about obtuse. And so anyways, like I was saying earlier, the lawsuit that I filed against you, it ain't defended by the attorneys that are already on staff there. So John T. Bullock back there, who drafts these policies and then advises the commission here to engage in unconstitutional acts in here and unlawful arrests, he's not the trial lawyer. So he's getting paid, and they got to bring in more lawyers, and then you're going to go ahead and give Sarah there a $41,000 raise on top of all that. Mind you, for actions that Sarah has done. So when you talk about job performance, Patrick, that's also her getting sued for her job is part of her job performance. So as John T. Bullock said in the paper there, his raise is based on a very exceptional rating. Well, if you're orchestrating arrests, unlawful arrests around here, Sarah, how is that a great job performance worthy of a raise? Let me ask you something, Sarah. Would you like to be unlawfully arrested? Let's say someday your nice, cushy, $288,000 job goes away, and you come in here, and you stand, and you get unlawfully arrested. Would you like that? Would you like to see then the person that orchestrated that, contributed to that, turn around and get a raise for that? And then these dipshits here sit there and say, oh no, your job performance is great. John T. Bullock there says, very exceptional. Would you like that, Sarah? Karen, why aren't you stopping me? I'm directly addressing Sarah. I've been directly addressing John T. Bullock with his unlawful rules in here. Why aren't you stopping me?
Is there anyone else who would like to give general public comment?
One of the things I'd like to talk about just a little bit is no matter how much lipstick you put on a pig, it's still a pig. What I've seen here is a bunch of politicians grading their own paper. This isn't based on merit. This is based on politics. There's only three things that a politician is interested in: money, power, and control. A prime example is this fiasco we went through with COVID-19. All we had to do is hang out a carrot here with a lot of money, and we did much, much harm to this community and this country. We've had untold number of deaths caused by a COVID-19 gene therapy shot. And sooner or later, I think everybody that had any part to do with that, including the newspaper, Lady Justice is going to march forward. And anybody that had any part of producing a mandate, which is not a law, a mandate is an order from a dictator. And we had plenty of mandates. We had to supposedly wear these little fuzzy masks. It's like trying to control a mosquito with a chain link fence. It don't work. So if any of you had any part of this COVID-19 fiasco, I think it's time to lawyer up, because Lady Justice is coming.
Is there anyone else for general public comment?
The Sheriff of Nottingham is the main antagonist of the legend of Robin Hood. He is an unjust tyrant who mistreats the local people of Nottinghamshire, subjecting them to unaffordable taxes. He is greedy and he is inconsiderate. He taxes the people and his workers while keeping them working for him. He's commonly seen in the movies with a big old turkey leg dripping down his face, overseeing the overflowing coffers. Am I interrupting? Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you three commissioners do represent Douglas County, and you are the county administrator's boss. We recognize that. We recognize you can do anything you want. We also recognize that you're probably feeling a little more powerful since the election. We're not doubting that. But because you won't stand up and hear us tonight, we have a Sheriff of Nottingham scenario that has been playing out in Douglas County.
Is there anyone else who'd like to give general public comment? Sarah, do we have anyone online? All right, closing general public comment and bringing back to our regular agenda. Our first item is an administration item. And Sarah, are you going to kick us off?
Yes, Commissioners, we have a public hearing on amending our 2024 budget. The information is included in your agenda packet. These budget amendments are related to the funds that we closed in the 2024 budget, ambulance fund, special building fund, special liability, and then allows for the creation of a new fund for municipals fight addiction. And we generally amend our budget each year for the grant fund and any funds that are received. This is a routine part of our process each year that we do to update our budget amendment in accordance with state statutes that allows us not to tax additional funds, but to recognize non-tax revenues that come in that were not included in the budget, and then allows us to do the transfer for these funds that closed out. Commissioners, I stand for any questions you have.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? This is a public hearing item. Are there members of the public who would like to give comment on this? Come on up.
Brent Bovee. I was wondering if you could share with us what the source of the grant is in this amended budget. And then I have an information request on the years of 17 to 22. For all those years that were amended, can you please provide evidence that these were filed with the state? I could not find any online. I've got the form if someone would mind passing this on to Ms. Britt. And it'd be nice if you could respond publicly whether or not these amended budgets were filed with the state for all those years, including signed by the county clerk and the Board of Commissioners. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to give public comment for this item? See no one else in the room. Sarah, do we have anyone online? Okay. Closing public comment, bringing it back. This is a routine part of our process. This happens every year that there are funds that get, I mean, especially, well, we don't always have funds that are being closed out as we do have this year, so that part is new. But in terms of grant funds that were not known at the time the budget was made and then brought forward, this is part of the state process, correct?
Correct.
Sarah, those grant funds, are they significantly from one account, one type of grant more than another?
I would say it would, we have a grant fund where we compile grants. Without having it in front of me, I can't list you the specific grants, but that's something we could certainly provide commissioners if they're interested.
Okay.
I would note that when we do the amended budget, if we do file it with the state, and it is included in our financial reporting that is done.
Is there an easy way for the public to access that?
Our financial reports?
Through the state or?
I don't think the state keeps all that information online. There's thousands of governments in Kansas, so they have about 4,000 governments that they monitor.
How would the public access that?
From the state or from us?
Either way.
If from us, they can make an open records request and we can provide documentation.
Thank you. Commissioner, anything?
I don't have any further comments. Happy to make a motion, but I'm trying to, is this a roll call vote, Sarah?
No, it's not required. A roll call vote's not required.
Okay, thank you. I forgot to ask you that before. Commissioner Reed, I move to adopt the 2024 amended county budget as presented by staff.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Our second item is also an administration item. This is the substance use treatment allocations. And Bob, I think you're going to give us some information.
Yes, good evening, Commissioners. Bob Tryansky, Director of Behavioral Health Projects for Douglas County. This is a brief administrative update coming out of the budget hearings, and as we move from budget hearings, the budget being approved, and then signing service agreements with our partners. As Commissioners will remember, during the budget process, one of the things we discussed was staff conversations that had been looking at how the county had allocated and reimbursed our service providers such as DECA and Heartland Radac for substance use treatment services. We've gone back and taken a look at the data from Q2 and Q3 of 2024 to revise the allocation recommendations for 2025. And so what I've put together here is a short chart that basically shows partners' request, and then how we are recommending that those dollars be reallocated or redirected. When I say redirected, what this basically does is it says to our treatment providers, you have an allocation, a not to exceed amount that you can submit to the county for reimbursement when you have a client who is uninsured or underinsured and they need access to these services. So there's three categories here. First is medication-assisted treatment. When we started this work several years ago, Heartland Community Health Center was the only provider in town that could provide these services. Medication-assisted treatment and medication-assisted detox is now available at the Treatment and Recovery Center. DECA has the ability to provide those services, and Mirror Inc. also has the ability to provide those services. So in discussions with DECA and Heartland Community Health Center, we talked about making basically an even allocation of $155,650 for reimbursement. And so that's reflected here. The second category is uninsured and underinsured treatment dollars. We have recommendation of splitting the requests into basically equal funding pools of equal amounts between DECA and Mirror Inc. And the third line there for Heartland Radac is to facilitate placement for individuals who need access to substance use treatment, but the options, because they may have a felony conviction, they may be a sex offender, there are no treatment options in the area. Heartland Radac can get to a place like Dodge City for that type of placement. And then the third area is social detox services. We looked at the actual spending by DECA for this project, and because of staff turnover and a reduced volume of beds outside of Douglas County, access to beds over the year, we're recommending that we hold the funding at what DECA actually spent over the last 2 years, which is about $180,000. We reserve $20,000 for clients that would go to treatment beds at Mirror Inc. And then basically we're reserving additional funds, which we would come back to you as this process evolves through additional collaboration with partners. And so I hope I don't feel like I've been extraordinarily clear, so I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bob, appreciate this. If we see something different happen throughout the year, is there an opportunity to make adjustments here?
Yes, and that what we'd like to do is take a look at the services that are being utilized and where they're being utilized at the end of Q2, and basically reconvene and continue to have these conversations with our partners. So it is an evolving situation. We just kind of changed the allocations to challenge our partners to manage funds more effectively, more efficiently, in ways that allow us to provide better access to even more resources that are available outside Douglas County, because in particular, one of the issues we're trying to address is there are no residential treatment beds for men in Douglas County still. So this allows us to go to Topeka, it allows us to go to Kansas City, it allows us to continue to explore additional options. And these are not to exceed amounts, and the contracts make it clear that the county will reimburse as the payer of last resort when there's not a payer source.
So how have those conversations gone with partners in terms of making this shift?
I actually anticipated that there would be a lot more concern. We've had conversations individually, county to partner, and we've also had collective conversations, and we've had multiple levels of conversations. So conversations around medication-assisted treatment specifically, conversations around detox services, because many clients are accessing detox services at the TRC. So the TRC is turning out to be an effective place for a client in the community to receive detox services, and things continue to evolve. Some of our providers went offline with detox services during COVID. It took them a while to come back online, and so we've talked through some of the pieces of that.
Can't see Commissioner Reed. Can we stop sharing this screen so we
Absolutely.
can see if we have any other? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thanks. I just wanted to tell Bob that I think that you presented it clearly, and I appreciate county staff's leadership and partners' participation in this process. I think that it's I think it's a really healthy process to be sort of examining along the way. And to Commissioner Kelly's earlier question, sort of acknowledging that there may be potential need in the future, whether near or further down the road, to reallocate or shuffle around these distributions based on the realities that partners are seeing. So I'm just really appreciative of the thoughtfulness behind that and partners' participation in a productive process of figuring out where those resources make the most sense, and knowing that we can come back to the table about it if and when things change, such as having available beds in Douglas County versus having to rely on out-of-county partners, or other changes that may occur. So appreciate your work on that.
Thank you. One thing that I didn't say that I think is important, the other attachment to the agenda item report, in addition to this table, was the reimbursement rates, which mirrors, it completely aligns with the reimbursement rates for federal block grant. So we reimburse at that level when a person doesn't have a payer source and the agency does not have a sliding scale to apply to that.
I appreciate knowing where those numbers come from.
Yeah. And thanks to our partners also for making the connections with the state to help us work through that so that we are aligned with that.
And Mirror Inc. is a new partner then for Douglas County.
Mirror Inc. is a new partner. Mirror Inc. is providing a peer that supports the homeless response team. Mirror Inc. will be the service provider for the Cardinal Housing, the intensive outpatient program, the housed intensive outpatient program at the Cardinal Housing House, which was funded through the budget process. Mirror is a new partner. Mirror gives us access to more beds and more options.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have other questions? Either commissioner? Okay, this is not an action item. This was an update, and I appreciate that. And that moves us on to appointments. We have several that have been on our radar. I would start with one because I think that comes down to me, and that's for the Douglas County Fair Board. And that's by township. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, point of order, Commissioner Willie. I apologize for interrupting. Maybe I just missed it, but did we take public comment on the last item?
Oh, thank you very much.
It's probably my fault because I didn't ask questions. I gave comments, and maybe I messed up the rhythm, so apologize.
I appreciate you flagging that. Thank you. Sorry, back to our item 3.2, our regular agenda. This is a public comment item. Is there anyone who would like to give public comment for this? Seeing no one in the room. Sarah, do we have anyone online? Okay, thank you. Okay, closing public comment. Bring it back. We did already have much of our discussion, but I'll reopen that. Commissioners, anything to add to this information item?
No.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate the point of order. Okay, so for For appointments for Fair Board, which is always kind of a tough one to fill, this is for Willow Springs Township specifically, which is within my district. We have two names that have been put forward, and those are Mark Elston and Ryan Hanna, both highly valuable members within that 4-H community, and talked with both of them. I very much value the input and the role that both of these fellows have. I've also had some people reach out with strong recommendations for one of those. So I think that's going to tip my choice. So I would like to nominate Ryan Hanna for the Fair Board if I have a second or other comments.
Commissioner Reed, I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie.
Thank you. I know we have a Bert Nash appointment that's been out there. I have actually meeting with the second of those two people tomorrow. So if it's all right with commissioners to let me get through that meeting, and then I'll have met with both of those applicants. Commissioners, any other appointments that we're ready for?
Not at this time.
That moves us to, okay, thank you. That moves us to Commissioner or Administrator Miscellaneous. And Sarah, would you kick us off with your memo?
Thanks, Commissioners. My memo is attached. Just some updates and notice about the upcoming Chamber Joint Legislative Breakfast. So if commissioners are interested, let us know and we'll get folks RSVP'd. And just a schedule on there for meetings for the rest of the year. And that's all I have.
I will be at the legislative breakfast. Any other commissioners?
Yeah, just and we can make your reservations.
Okay,
So,
excellent.
yeah.
Thank you. I did just return from the Kansas Association of Counties meeting. That's actually still going on, but I came back to make sure we were present for this. Feel like that was a pretty valuable opportunity to connect with other people in local government. It's not just commissioners, but some key staff and other electeds that are there. And it's was really kind of refreshing to speak across such different communities across the state of Kansas and some real similarities, and also just to hear other points of view. It was really, I think, a powerful opportunity. So thank you for letting me attend that day and a half that I was there. And I think it's worth having us continue to have a presence there, which we also had Kent Brown, our Register of Deeds. So Douglas County was well represented. Any other updates from commissioners?
None from me.
With that, then we are adjourned. Thank you all.